Breaking tonight, the National Transportation Safety Board just released its preliminary report on the deadly jet crash on I-75 in Collier County earlier this month. The jet crashed into the southbound lanes on February 9th, killing 2 pilots and hitting 2 cars on the road. The Bombardier 600 was on final approach into the Naples airport. Their elevation less than 2,000 feet at that point. At 3:09 p.m., the first of 3 master warning alarms sounded, indicating a major problem with both engines' oil pressure. About 30 seconds later, as the plane was just above Pine Ridge Road, this is what one pilot told air traffic control.
Lost both engines, emergency. I'm making an emergency landing.
Got the emergency, clear to land, runway 23.
7 seconds later, the plane had dropped to 875 feet, and they made that grim call. They weren't going to make it to the runway.
We're clear to land, but we're not going to make the runway. We've lost both engines.
The plane crashed on I-75 just 1 minute and 14 seconds after losing both engines. Tonight, NBC2's Elise Changiri is live along I-75 after speaking with a flight expert who can give us an idea of what must have been going through those pilots' minds.
Peter, that aviation expert tells me those pilots had seconds. Now, we're not too far away from where that fatal crash happened. That aviation expert says that those pilots did exactly what they were trained to do, and that when you lose all power, you need to land as soon as possible.
Yeah, whatever event happened occurred pretty quickly, not even minutes. This basically happened in seconds from the time they declared the emergency until the time that they were putting the aircraft down.
The NTSB preliminary report said investigators found the fuel and oil filters came back clean with no debris in them. They also cut both fuel lines to take samples, but one engine didn't release any fuel. I asked Professor Anthony Brickhouse at Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University to explain further.
You're going to look at the systems on board the aircraft. Sometimes we have fuel on the aircraft, but it can't get to where it needs to go. We call that fuel starvation, and that's something that they'll be definitely looking into.
The NTSB report found both engines had thermal damage from fire. Damage from that fire clearly still here today along I-75.
The aircraft is about 20 years old. It just went through a maintenance inspection or certification in early January. So to have a dual engine failure at the end of a flight from Ohio to Florida is definitely remarkable.
After the plane came to a final rest, the cabin attendant stated the emergency exits were blocked by fire. So she had the passengers and herself go through the baggage compartment door in the tail section of the airplane to escape, as many of you saw from this video.
The cabin crew member had the attentiveness to get the passengers out through a baggage door. So this was definitely a miracle in terms of, the fact that 3 people made it out alive. And unfortunately, we did lose the 2 pilots, but this could have been a much worse situation involving everybody on board the aircraft and innocent people on the ground.
Professor Brickhouse says his thoughts and prayers are with everyone affected by that fatal plane crash. Now, again, this is the preliminary report. The NTSB says the final report will be ready by next year. Live and local here along I-75 South, Elise Chingari, NBC2.
Elise, thank you.